We're talking about the days leading up to Chance Room episode 42 this week, which involves a few sensitive topics. This week's time travel includes subjects that may be upsetting or triggering. If you're avoiding this kind of content, please do not continue on with this video. This week's time travel includes references to mental health struggles, bullying, and suicide. If you're struggling, please reach out for help. You're not alone, and support is always accessible. There are a number of resources available online, including Lifeline International, who can be contacted for help worldwide. Find them at lifeline-international.com or grab the link in the notes below. We've been time traveling with Chan and Stray Kids now for over 40 weeks, retracing the steps between each episode of Chan's Room, weaving a story out of these moments. But the thing about stories is this: some are meant to be shared, open for anyone who wants to find them. And others, well, those belong only to the ones who live them. Stray Kids give us so much of themselves that it's easy to forget some things aren't ours to know. We're here to relive the moments the kids have chosen to share, as they happened, and we won't be diving into questions that aren't ours to answer. What's given freely is a gift, and the rest stays with them. What we can do, though, is piece together what's right in front of us, offering context and highlighting what's clear. Like how this week was exhausting for Stray Kids without question. We don't know if they were already aware that a major shift was coming, but what we do know is that they were deep in the chaos of double knot promotions, jumping from one music show to the next, hitting radio stations, and squeezing in live events both in and out of the country that would have filled any normal week on their own. This is just one part of the story, though. This week we're zooming out to hold space for events that were happening in the wider world because that context is important to understand what this week was really like for Stray Kids and Stays alike. The morning after Chan's Room episode 41, the world woke to the shocking news that K-pop star and actress Sulli had died. The cause of her death was not announced immediately, but suicide is what was largely assumed by all to be the cause. Sulli's tragic passing brought painful truths to light that were hard to face but impossible to ignore. As a mental health advocate and a victim of cyberbullying, she became a mirror reflecting the darker side of fandom culture that often shunned her for her openness. Though Sulli's struggles were her own, her story echoed through the community. Many idols, if not most, know what it's like to be targeted for harassment in the public eye. Each of these stories is different, but they're all bound by a shared thread of experience. Sulli's loss cast a heavy shadow, a stark reminder that idol culture wasn't just problematic at times, it could be deadly. In the weeks that followed, this reality weighed on everyone's minds, wrapping fans in worry for their idols, regardless of the group that was in question. The shockwaves created by Sulli's passing meant it was impossible for Stays not to think of Stray Kids by extension too. They were also caught in this culture of impossible expectations, intense scrutiny, and the unspoken weight that comes with living life in the spotlight as an idol. So this is the lens that Stays saw this week through, as Stray Kids barreled through their packed schedule, wrapping up Double Knot promotion, which had lasted a mere 12 days. The kids started their week on Idol Radio before flying to Bangkok for Spotify on stage, and their return from this was so fast it felt like they teleported. One moment in Thailand, the next on the red carpet at Seoul Fashion Week. Chan, Hyunjin, and Ian barely touched down before making a stylish appearance at a fashion show, then jumped straight back into promotions with the rest of the kids, appearing on Music Bank the following day, then boarding a bus to Busan to perform at the One Asia Festival. Stray Kids went live on their way home from Busan. It would have been hard to find a time for this when they weren't on the move at the rate they were going, and then soldiered on to perform on Inkigayo the following day. This is a day most Stays are familiar with, even if they don't know where it fits in. Backstage at Inkigayo is where Hyunjin fed Chan snacks, trying to wake him up as he was falling asleep sitting up. That's him in the midst of this hectic schedule, with the weight of things we will never be privy to on his mind. Fresh off a bus from Busan, getting ready to perform for the last music show in Double Knot's promotional period. And the thing is, if Chan hadn't chosen to record those moments, if this had not been shared freely with Stays, we likely would have never suspected just how exhausting those events had been for him specifically. Chan is a master at tapping into energy. In episode 41, he talks about anchoring into happy memories to shape a better future, instead of letting negativity take the wheel. And he draws strengths from Stays too, turning that energy into something only he can, and sending it right back to us. Which is why when he and the kids attended a mini fan meet the same night, no one would have known the invisible work being done behind the scenes to show up looking fresh and full of energy to joke around with Stays. You'd think there wouldn't be time for anything else after that, but this was Sunday. The day Chan turned on V Live in that familiar orange studio with his stage makeup on, including a scar across his nose, to join Stays for episode 42. 42 has a deep meaning for Chan. It's one many Stays are familiar with now because of the way his vulnerability has been exploited by the same kind of quote-unquote fans who targeted Sully, the ones who make the dark side of K-pop fandom so harmful and even deadly. We don't usually dive into these episodes before rewatching them together, but some context gets lost when it's just a recorded live being replayed. This week we see the worst side of online bullying. Emboldened by the death of one K-pop star, certain trolls set their sights on Chan. The chat in Chan's V Live this week included messages from bullies wishing Chan harm, and even though it can be hard to tell on rewatching, he made a point to let them know he saw them. This episode can be hard to watch, knowing all we know now, but it's honestly remarkable how Chan balanced heavy emotions and exhaustion with his energy and warmth, allowing space for unspoken hard things to exist while wrapping Stays in love and solidarity. We show up for Chan every week here, rain or shine. Sometimes it's because we need him, soaking up the energy he gives so freely. But now we're showing up for him. Even if it's 5 years later, we'll be here as part of the love supporting him and the kids through tough times. That's why we'll be catching episode 42 together this Sunday, September 15th at 11 p.m. KST, to work a little magic through our time traveling and be part of the community that was there for Chan and the kids in hard times. I'll see you then.